It's a big day for the Bagnato family, the annual blessing of the fleet at the Sydney Fish Market in Blackwattle Bay. There are prayers for a good season ahead and for the fishermen's safe return. The story of how Paul Bagnato came to deliver seafood to our plates is a classic story of Aussie immigration. He comes from a long line of fishermen, originally from Calabria, who settled in Woolloomooloo in Sydney's inner city in the 1950s.
This city, with few traditions and little folklore, has acquired a community of Italian fishermen, transplanted with their way of life from the shores of Sicily and Calabria.
His father Vincenzo was one of 7 seafaring brothers, the founders of a fishing dynasty that still rules the Sydney fleet today.
They're the future fishermen.
But the next generation is proving less keen on a life at sea. I've come down to the wharf at the fish market to find out what the future holds for Sydney's fishing fleet.
Look at this!
Welcome aboard.
This is the Illawarra Star.
Yes, it's a beautiful boat. It handles the sea pretty good. She catches very well, thank God.
So how did your family end up from Italy here in Sydney Harbour?
Well, it all started with the older brother. There's 7 brothers. It all started with he came out to a venturing new country, as like a lot of migrants did in the 1950s and 60s.
Every weekday, long before dawn, no matter what the season or weather, they leave their houses and board their boats.
There was never any question Paul would follow in his father's footsteps, but that family tradition is now reaching the end of the line.
Are your kids following you into
unfortunately,
seafood fishing industry?
My kids and my brother's kids, they didn't take up, and that's where it's so sad, because it's going to be generations and generation fishermen just all gone. That part of my family history is eventually going to fade away, which is sad.
But I like the thought that this is what you worked hard for, to give them the choice.
Yes, yeah, well, yep, and that's what we did. We gave them a choice. Like, obviously, I would have loved to have one of my boys, take over. Hey, which dad would want their son to take over their business? But you know what? It's their choice, and I got to accept that.
Every Saturday morning, when the boats are at anchor and the nets are drying, the lanes and pavements of Woolloomooloo are transformed into the seafront streets of a little village on the Mediterranean coast.
A piece of Sydney Harbour history that could soon be consigned to the past.